on the Moon. They're a local band here in Tacoma. That was Bring the Drunk Girl. Okay. Anyway, we finally have Johnny Sonic on the air with us.
Yay. Or at least yay. How are you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good. I'm so happy to have you on the air with us.
Well, I'm very happy you asked me. Thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome.
Okay.
And I know
congratulations.
What?
Well, I was just saying congratulations on your podcast.
Well, thank you.
Seems like it's going all right.
Yeah, it's doing pretty good. Episode 15. You're number 15. How's it feel to be number 15?
I guess I can say that's my favorite number because you don't really know what my real favorite number is. So I'll just tell you that that's my favorite number. Yay! I'm 15.
Yay! I'll get you a T-shirt that number 15.
That sounds good.
Now, I personally know Johnny and Sonic for about 4 years, and we every now and then we play together with Super Geek League. So that's how.
That is true.
Yep. They're going to be on the show next Wednesday.
I know. Maybe I'll call in and hassle those guys.
Yeah, I know, right?
Or maybe I'll be part of the SGL crew that calls in. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. I got Squirrel calling in, and I got Shorty, and I got Floyd. So anyway.
Cool.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So back to the topic we are talking about, which, by the way, Johnny Sonic is the one that gave me this idea for politic criticism through the music.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's one of my favorite parts about music is speaking your mind a little bit. Especially here, I got the microphone, so I get to say what I want. So it just goes and I get to say whatever I want. So I like to talk about politics sometimes. So yeah.
Okay, well, here's your chance to talk. What about the politics?
Well, shoot, that open-ended question like that, geez, I don't know. There's lots of stuff to talk about. I mean, there's things that you can talk about and get upset about, and there's things that you can talk about that kind of motivate people and get people excited about doing good things. You know, sometimes when you talk about politics, it's easy to just focus on all the things that you hate, because that usually tends to be the thing that, gets you the most, worked up kind of thing. So you talk about the things that get you most agitated, right? Mm-hmm. As opposed to saying, it's not that good of a song when someone says, hey, everyone's doing a great job, we like this guy, people just kind of turn that off. So I've been writing for a while, and I have to admit, like when George Bush was president, I had a lot more songs that were a little bit more fueled. And then when Obama was president, I kind of was like, well, he's doing all right. It's like, so, I mean, there's still a lot of, nothing's perfect, of course, and there's things I want to complain about, but I think I had less to complain about these last 8 years than I did the previous 8. So, we'll see I was thinking that I really don't want, I would hate Donald Trump to be president, but I thought, well, the only silver lining would be I'll have a pretty hot album in a couple of years because I'll have a lot of shit to say.
I don't know.
There's always a bright side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not it's not worth it. Don't get me wrong. It's not worth that thing happening, but that would be like the one silver lining. I think that would be the
Yeah, I think everyone in the whole entire world is shivering if Donald Trump ever becomes president. Oh my God, shivers.
Right. Yeah. It is interesting though, because like musicians have talked about politics a lot, and in the past, it seemed like it was a little bit more accepted to do that. And sometimes I think nowadays, in some of the, I shouldn't say in the past pop music, 60s and 70s pop music, and when you heard it on the radio, even in later the 50s, it wasn't uncommon to hear pop music with like a political tint. But some of the real famous pop nowadays, it's almost like the politics are gone. I remember hearing an interview on NPR with singer Macy Gray, and she's got a lot of nice things to say about politics and has a lot of her own opinion. But her whole point of the interview was that, nowadays if she really speaks her mind, it's kind of polarizing to her audience. And so she says she leaves a lot of her politics out. She brought up like when the Dixie Chicks complained about George Bush, and all of a sudden people were asking them to take their Grammys away, and people were picketing in front of their concerts and all that kind of stuff. And you think, well, they're just saying what they think, and then they really polarize their audience. And so Macy Gray said that a lot of times she holds her tongue when she writes the lyrics. And I remember listening to that interview and thinking, that's like the opposite of what I'm thinking. I remember, like, you know, when talking about politics was, or just what you agree with and what you don't agree with is like something that I would look up into an artist. You know, I remember, you know, bands like Rage Against the Machine or any of those more recent bands. You know, I remember I used to love that stuff, just like when those guys would just go off and say what they needed to say, and then when they get on the radio, you say, "Uh-oh, what are people going to think now?" So if you ever hear Johnny Sonic stuff on the radio now, I don't think I'll shy back from that stuff. I'll definitely still continue to say what I need to say.
Yeah.
It's interesting how it kind of goes through the cycle, or it's like it's really either accepted, or nowadays it's kind of like, don't say that, you're going to upset all these people, you know. So yeah, I guess when you're really focused on trying to sell records, you don't want to polarize your fan base, but when you're more focused on making the music that you care about, then I guess selling records is secondary to that.
I think what most people are kind of, oh, sorry, Greg. Hang on a second. I do believe that some people don't want to cause drama, so I think it's what they're trying you not to say anything. They won't cause drama that hurts your career. But at the same time, it can actually help your career, too.
Exactly, right. It depends on the fan base you're looking for. If you're looking for like a bunch of bubblegum pop 14-year-olds, yeah, you probably should keep your mouth shut. But if you're looking for people that are like-minded and want to be part of some sort of revolution, whether it's politically or musically, then yeah, they appreciate when you speak up. You know, and those are actually the fans that I think I would have at our shows, and people that would listen to the music. I've never heard anybody say to me that, oh, you shouldn't have said that. It's more the opposite. It's like, yeah, thanks for saying that. Thanks for caring, or thanks for, you know, paying attention to these matters and that kind of thing. There's a lot of stuff to be talked about when we talk about politics. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No, you good.
Go ahead. Hey, you know, we talk about politics and maybe we think maybe just more about the government, but then there's also a lot of things that I think a lot about with music that's maybe just not necessarily like talking about the Congress or the president or people in the government per se, but just things that are going on socially. That I kind of group into, I guess you could say, talking about the politics in your music, where it's not necessarily about the government. You know, like I have a lot of songs about a lot of different types of things. You know, there's some about you know, like consent and date rape, and then I have some things about media control, and then also things about, you know, depression and mental illness and things that are just maybe not necessarily like talking about the government, but at the same time, it's something that it's not just talking about, you know, oh girl, I love you, what's your name kind of songs. You know what I mean? It's something that has a little bit more substance to it.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to say something, Greg, that kind of actually cut you off.
I might have lost that.
And then I did.
But I kind of gone on a different train of thought here.
Oh, no!
You mentioned that of course when you go to the shows and you sing about some more meaningful things, that people are more like, hey, yeah, I'm glad you talked about that, rather than being critical. It's funny, since I brought up the band Filter earlier, like Richard Patrick, when he started really talking about how he had these political viewpoints about different things, about how they put out an album that was against the Iraq War and things like that. And he would talk about this on social media like Facebook, and there were people who were supposed to be his fans who would comment all the time and say, hey, Richard, don't talk about politics, just play music. And it's like, who are you people to say these things? I mean, yeah, there's...
Right.
They're entertainers, but they're people. They have things that they want to talk about. This is in their music. They want you to know what they're passionate about. If you don't want them to be passionate about it, then why are they playing music for you?
Exactly. And if I would ever get a comment like that, let's do it. And if you want to talk about something that you want to talk about, go be in your own band, right? I mean, it's like
exactly.
Their own. So, and I'm not going to tell a lyricist that they shouldn't write lyrics about that. I mean, it seems kind of a silly thing to do, especially from a fan's perspective. If you dig in the band, like you can't tell the singer what to write about. You either like him or you don't. You know, so it's like telling a painter that he shouldn't be painting what he or she is painting. It seems kind of ridiculous. It's
Yeah, totally agree.
So I'm glad I don't have fans like that.
Definitely.
So, Johnny, who was your biggest influence on in the? Well, that's not the right question I want to ask. Who's a big influence in when you are talking about the politics? So who really boils you up? I don't know.
Well, I think I think in my formative years, Rage Against the Machine did a lot. You know, like when they came out in the early '90s, and so I was a teenager then. Maybe a little younger than. Yeah, I was early teens then, and I remember that really kind of sparked my interest in that in a modern sense. And it made me, but you know, made me look at a lot of older music too, like a lot of things in the '60s and '70s. I love Janis Joplin. I love what she used to say. I mean, sometimes she would talk about the government, but then sometimes she would talk about women's rights and that kind of thing. I'm a big fan of civil rights, and so when folks are talking about that, I loved a lot of hip hop. I love Public Enemy, like and Chuck D and everything he had to say. Probably so. Chuck D, I would say, was probably one of my biggest influences. I remember I had Fear of a Black Planet, Nation of Millions that Hold Us Back, and I grew up in kind of a white suburb, and I remember that scared my parents, but I think that was supposed to. I think that's what, you know, like when you have Fear of a Black Nation, you know, Fear of a Black Planet, I meant to say, like the album cover. I think my parents at that time were probably scared of a black planet as well. So I think Chuck D did his job there. So I would say Public Enemy was probably my biggest influence in terms of you know, grabbing a mic and just saying what's going on in the head. You know, and bands like NWA and things like that. They weren't necessarily talking about. I mean, a lot of times they talked about the government, but you know, they had a lot of songs that were just really talking about where they were coming from. And like I said, I grew up in a way different place than Compton, so that was really foreign to me at the time when I would hear it. But I remember being really drawn to the fact that these guys are just really saying like what's going on in their lives. And I was like, well, if I'm ever in that situation with a microphone, I'd like to say what's going on in my life. And as I grew up, you know, like I'm not like the same. I'm not dealing with the same things that like NWA was dealing with, of course. But like it's nice to say it with that same kind of passion and to understand, like, you know, that it's important. If you have a microphone and you're in front of, like, I actually have a line in one of the songs. If you have a mic in your hand and say something with it, like that's the whole. I feel like if you're going to be amplified and you're going to be heard, it's kind of stupid to not say something that you're thinking. You know, or that's the whole point of writing songs in my head.
Yeah, I think when you have a microphone in your hand, you have the influences to move people in the direction where maybe you have your opinion, and they actually were thinking it in your head. Oh yeah, that's he's right on, or she's right on. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah. Right. There's always a time in every Johnny Sonic show. Sometimes I do it twice, but at least once, where it's kind of like a spoken word type thing, where it's actually a song in our set list, and we joke around. I call it a yip yap, so it's like not really like a rap thing. It's not really like a spoken word thing, but we call it yip yap. It's either yip yap 1 in our set or yip yap 2, and where it's like, you know, like when a lot of those big, you know, a lot of the mass shootings were happening, and guns and gun control and all that kind of stuff was a big deal. I talked about guns a little bit. In the last time when we had all these Republican debates, I talked about the Republican debates. And, you know, like there's always a time where I and they're long. They're not just like 30 seconds. You know, it's as long as a song. So like my little spoken word things are 3 to 4 minutes. And actually, that's my favorite part of the shows, because the week of the show, you know, we're always kind of practicing and playing the songs that we're used to playing, but the spoken word portion of the show is always new, and it's always kind of more about what's going on in the world right now. So I always write it like for that particular show, and then practice the hell out of it so I don't screw it up, and then you know, I'll take 3-4 minutes out of the show and say what I'm thinking about what's going on in the current events, and that's a big deal of the show. And I've heard a lot of feedback from both the people in my band and the people in the crowd that they enjoy that part of the show. It's definitely not like no one's ever throwing tomatoes at me or anything. They're always clapping. So it seems like they're enjoying hearing what I have to say as well. So it's always a really enjoyable part of the show for me, and hopefully other people get something out of it.
Mm-hmm. I enjoy your portion when I see you.
Well, great. Thank you. I guess if you hated me, you wouldn't have had me come on here, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't like you, Johnny Sonic. How dare you come on my show? We're going to sit here and criticize you.
It depends on how far we're going to push the controversy, Mark.
Yeah, is this the criticism part? It's not criticism part. It's criticism of me. Is that what the show is?
Exactly. We're going to change it all for you. Criticism for Johnny Sonic.
And the common boards light up.
Okay, so anyway, I have your song, Night,